Next thing will happen to you, even if you don't get cancer, your teeth will become stained. Irreparably and incurably stained. All your white teeth will turn black. And I have a friend, by the way, who's a bodybuilder, you know? He's constantly working out and with his push-ups and his dumbbells, but the biggest dumbbell of all is himself. Because while he does, he's got a cigarette in his mouth. And in between, he has a little cigar. And his teeth look like an open-end incinerator. This, of course, I've said nothing about yet, about the odors you're going to get. If you are a smoker, then you are permeated, every pore of your body, with this odor of tobacco. Everyone. Now, if you are a non-smoker, and you stand next to a person who's a smoker, you know it. You know it. Because their clothes reek of it, their body reeks of it, their breath reeks of it, because naturally they've taken in this garbage, and if you keep putting garbage in the lungs, it's going to smell like garbage. What do you expect it to smell like? Lilies? Garbage smells like garbage. And if you're a non-smoker and you kiss someone who's a smoker, it's like kissing the top of an empty garbage can. If you're both smokers, then it's all right because one skunk never smells another. You get away with it. Now, before we go any further, I know that some of you are wondering whether I smoke. Let me assure you that I gave it up when I was 7. Turn to sex. But my mother was very strict. Now, if you will, probably I think what turned me against smoking, why I never did it. I took in a little puff when I was 7 years old, I suppose, to see what it was like, because a child has curiosity, and a child wants to try everything. But I tried it, and that was enough. And I think what probably discouraged me from it, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe it's an unconscious motivation, was the fact that my father's horrible smell. You know, to this day, I can't get too close to him without a gas mask. And when he talks to me, I make him stand 6 feet away. That's true. I cannot stand that odor. Now, he really reeks, but reeks. Now, he's been smoking all these years, and so he smells like what he smokes. Now, if you ever hold a cigarette in your hand, by the way, look at a smoker's hand sometime, and you'll find that their fingers are yellowed. And by the way, the fingers do not inhale. They do not inhale. And they get yellow just by holding that beautiful piece of garbage. Inside your body, where all that tar and dirt and filth has already been inhaled. I once watched an autopsy of a non-smoker, and they dissected the lungs, and I watched it with great interest. It was very interesting. Then they started to dissect a smoker's lung, and I thought I'd pass out. It looked like walking into a dump and being caught in your legs in 6 inches of tar and mud. I can't begin to tell you what a sight that was, just to see a smoker's lung. Now, it is possible, by the way, if you are a smoker from the ages of 17 to 19, and then stop, it is possible to autopsy your lung at age 98 and to see the evidences of that smoking when you were 17 to 19. Because there is no brush that you can stick in and clean out a lung with. There's no lung brushes. In England, I was amazed to find how brown their fingers are. They have something in their tobacco that we apparently don't have. Or I don't know what it is. Or maybe they smoke more heavily. But their fingers are so dirty brown as if they dipped them into paint. And, of course, little leaks of nicotine from their lips coming down. They look at you and it's leaking right down the lips. You can imagine what really must go on inside. There are people who must smoke the minute they get up in the morning. They're right away. I gotta have a cigarette. Oh, I gotta have that cigarette. I'm sure when they die and they get to the pearly gates, they'll say, St. Peter, give me a cigarette first. First cigarette, then we'll talk. Then we'll talk. He's a smoker. If you will smoke regularly on an empty stomach, I can guarantee you another little charming disease, ulcers. Because when you smoke, you release hydrochloric acid. And the hydrochloric acid begins to eat on an empty stomach, eating in little holes. And you develop ulcers. This is smoker's ulcers. I understand there's a new cigarette coming out soon that has no tobacco at all filter. You keep puffing on it until you get a hernia. Which I think is a step in the right direction. I understand, too, one cigarette company is thinking of changing their slogan to "Cancer is good for you." Now, listen to this. If you think you're a light smoker, well, I don't smoke much. I just smoke 1 cigarette a month. That's all I do. Is that much? It's like being a little bit pregnant. I'm just a little bit pregnant. Not much, a little bit. You know that when you take one puff of one cigarette, now get this, I didn't say smoke the whole cigarette, one puff of one cigarette, every blood capillary in your body, from head to toe, immediately constricts. Now, the moment it constricts, what does it do? It causes the heart to beat harder. The heart has to pump harder to pump the blood through those constricted arteries. And the heart keeps pumping and pumping harder, and eventually people suddenly drop dead, they say, of a stroke. No, lucky stroke. It may surprise you to learn that the greatest cause of death in America is through heart failure, heart disease. But nobody has ever stopped to think or ask, where does all this heart disease come from? What do you expect? A nation of puffers, constricting their arteries, forcing the heart to work harder. If you beat a man and flog him constantly, don't be surprised if he falls down dead. Don't be surprised. If you flog your heart and cause it to overwork, you shouldn't be surprised if it fails on you. If you haven't taken care of yourself, you pay for it. In nature, you pay for everything. Nature doesn't let you get away with a thing. It's like, you know, women, some women who go on a diet. You ever watch them when they eat a piece of cake? They usually swallow it very fast. The stomach shouldn't know. It's like smokers. They think they'll get away with these puffs, but you don't. You pay for every single puff, every one. Then I've heard other people say, well, smoking calms me. It calms my nerves. It makes me less nervous. Now, I want to clear up something about that right now. When you become a smoker, you become addicted and therefore become nervous. Now you need the cigarette to cure the disease it created. Do you get it? In other words, are you sitting there, anybody here with a craving for a little shot of dope? You have no craving for a shot. You say, oh, please, give me a little happy dust. I can't stand it. Just blow me a little happy dust. None of you have a craving for it. None of you. But of course, if you were a dope fiend, you'd sit there so nervous you wouldn't be able to sit still. A little happy dust. I'll give you anything you want. Anything you want. Just give me a shot. Give me a shot. Well, what do you want it for? Well, it'll make me less nervous. It calms me down. Of course it calms you down. It calms you down because it created the disease in the first place. A non-smoker doesn't calm him down. Now, it may also be interesting to note that there is no inborn craving for tobacco. There's no inborn craving. You're born with a craving for food and for water, but there's no craving for tobacco. Did you ever see an infant in the cradle saying, Mama, I gotta have a butt, Mama? To hell with the milk, bring the butts.